Please welcome to the stage Vice President, Statewide Services, OEC, Mr. Doug Miller.
Is there anything off limits?
The only time I get called Mr. is by my mom when I'm in trouble. So if everybody could take your seats, we're going to go ahead and get started. Ladies and gentlemen. All right. Well, listen, I think we've had a great start to our day. We've had a couple of really fantastic speakers and our AI presenter, Dr. Charlie, great way to start our conference. Great night last night. And I'm just really pleased to have this group of guys with me up here on stage. This is our fourth project to electrify villages in Guatemala. And we try to be consistent every time and have these guys come back and kind of tell their story and help all of us understand and appreciate what they did and what they have done to improve the world around us. So what I'm going to do is just start with some introductions. I'd like each one of the guys to introduce themselves, and then we're going to do a little fun exercise, and then we'll get into some panel questions. I don't want this to all be about me asking them questions. If you guys have questions, just jump in, raise your hand. We'll make this as interactive as you want it to be. So we'll start out here with Wes.
I'm Wesley Yors, South Central Power. Been there 7 years. Been married for 6 years now. And my wife Shauna. We have a 2.5-year-old Theodore, a 1-year-old Winston, another one on the way. So that's pretty much me.
4 and 5 months, right?
Yeah,
You're gonna have number 3, right?
Another one coming.
Yeah. Cody?
Cody Leitner. I work for the Energy Co-op. I've been there for about 3 years now. I have 3 kids. My daughter is Emerson. She's the oldest. Then my son is Lincoln. He is 3. And then I have a 1-year-old as well. And I've been married to my wife for about 6-7 years.
Yeah. Yeah. We are recording this, video recording this. I think there's some of your colleague, your fellow linemen, they're going to use that against you some one of these days. So, yeah, David.
My name is David Overman. I work with Pioneer Electric Cooperative. I've been at Pioneer for over 3 years. I've been doing line work for almost 17 years. I have been married for 12 years. I got 3 kids, a 9-year-old, 6-year-old, a 3-year-old, and I got a 4th on the way in May.
In May, yeah. And his wife allowed him to leave the country when she was, but it's number 4, so I think they've got it figured out. So I figured out David lives about 15 minutes away from where I live too. So Kyle, go ahead and introduce yourself.
My name is Kyle.
Everybody knows you, but yeah.
So, most people do know who I am, but my name is Kyle Hoffman. I work for Fesco Energy Services, which is Lorain, Medina, and North Central. I'm the chief operations officer there. I worked at OEC and ran Colt for the last 10 years or so, and then I started out my career as a line worker at Pioneer Electric Cooperative. So, and I'm a co-op kid. I mean, my dad retired from Logan County Co-op under Doug, so this kind of setting is pretty much all I know. I've got my beautiful wife with me today, the person that I typically just ask for forgiveness to on things like this. I've been on 4 of them now, so I don't typically just say, hey, I'm going to Guatemala, and she says, oh, okay, and things like that. Kind of same way with storms and so forth, and then I've got my 4 children, and life comes at you fast, grandparents already, and when I got back from Guatemala, we flew to D.C. to see our brand new grandkid, so little Carson that was just born. So that's who I am in a nutshell, family and co-op, that's what I know.
All right, fun little project. All right, I want everybody in the room to stand up. If you are able, everybody stand up right where you are. You guys too, stand up. All right, so first question is easy. You can stay standing if you are in your current position at your co-op during the Project Ohio 2025. All right, everybody's still standing, good. Stay standing if you were in your current position the last time we did a project in 2020 during the COVID year. Wow. All right, 2018. If you were in your current position in 2018, stay standing. A few more down. All right, let's go the first Project Ohio, 2016. If you were in your current position in 2016, stay standing. All right, take a look around at how many people were part of this decision-making process back in 2016 to take on these electrification projects. Everybody else can sit down now. So just my first question to Kyle Hoffman, going all the way back to 2016, and we wrestled with this decision about whether to take on an international electrification project. Kind of talk about the decision as to why we do it and why we decided to spend, our resources in helping people outside of our country.
I think the first thing you have to look at through this is that when we have a talent and we've been given gifts and we've been given opportunities in our own country in which we live in, if you don't share those, then it's just the most selfish act you could possibly have. And for us to be able to take our talents and take them somewhere else into a country across our own borders and goes beyond just, us being one country to another, to give to people the gift that we got is pretty important stuff to do. And I think it's a very worthy thing. These people are very deserving. They're just like us. They're trying to live every day the same way we do. We just have a lot more resources than they have. But to do a project like this to help them grow to where we are is really what it's all about. I mean, you look at what we do here in America and all the sacrifices we make to make the whole world a better place, whether that's clean energy, and when you go to Guatemala and there's black smoke everywhere. I mean, you can't go anywhere without smelling smoke and all this stuff. And you think the sacrifices we make here, well, the only way they're going to get to where we are is they're going through their industrial revolution right now. And how do you then get the world to be a better place? It's by giving to others and making their world match ours. And I think if we can all get there and we can all be more giving, well, then obviously we can make this place a better place. And we may not get to see the fruits of those labors today, but if our kids and our grandkids and all of those can see a better world, well, then we're doing the right thing for the right reasons.
Yeah, and I think it redefines, for us the idea of community, right?
Yes.
So, everybody has a different definition of community. So some people it may be, the community of Jackson Center or Piqua, Ohio. Some people, our community is a little bit bigger in terms of maybe our county or our state, our country, and it just redefines the word community, right?
Yeah, community is humanity, and that's across the world.
Yeah, right. So Kyle, just let's kick us off with, just talking about this project specifically. Obviously, a big difference between 2025 and 2020. We all remember 2020 being the asterisk year, the COVID year, right? Everybody got an extra year of eligibility, so you got some additional time. So just talk about this project. What did you guys set out to do? What were you able to accomplish while you were in Guatemala? And just talk about the project overall. What was the scope?
Well, I mean, it was a much different project overall. There was no COVID going on. I mean, last time we were in this thing, that was a very challenging project, to say the least, on our way back from there. This project, it was going to be like any of the rest. We were going to go down. We were hoping to electrify 93 houses in a village just outside of Guatemala City. It was a different kind of a project because it wasn't necessarily as remote as we have always been. Typically, before we were in La Soledad, we were up in Ixcan, a very long-traveled trip into the rural areas for sure of Guatemala. This one here, a little more westernized area for us. And I know going there on a planning trip, it was exciting for me just because when you do get there as a father of two daughters, I want them to have some of the same opportunities in life that I was afforded or anyone else is. So one of the things I've always struggled with is the further you get out, the more the culture changes, where a man has a role and a woman has a role. And in this westernized setting, when we first got there, the village leader was a woman. The leader of the municipality was a woman. So you kind of see this dynamic change, and you think, okay, we've got an opportunity to go there and be a part of something that's a lot like us. And so you go to do the project, and we went down with challenges. COVID, the bummer was we didn't get to energize. Yes, we got to saw the light bulb come on the next day when we were stuck in Guatemala City, but this time you kind of think, okay, we're gonna go down there, we're gonna fulfill this mission, we're gonna do what we did the first 2 times, we're gonna turn the lights on, and then we get some bad news to say, oh, you're not gonna be able to turn the lights on down there, and you're like, oh, that's not good, So, and I know when you left, it's like I got to sell eggs to a chicken, and so went there with 2 goals, and that one was to do everything we could to bring power to these people. That was number 1. Number 2 was do everything we could that when we leave there, it's more than just power. I mean, we changed their everyday lives for the better. We improved the school system. We improved, what they do there and how they go about things, and we just bring an easier life when we leave. And that's always the goal on the premise of these projects is they're bigger than us. They're bigger than any one person that goes. And really what you want to do is just leave an impact. And that's really what this group was able to do. I ask every single day, twice a day, when am I getting a meeting? When can I get a meeting to talk to someone about turning this power on? When can we get a meeting? When can we get a meeting? And unfortunately, it's just there's a lot of red tape at times down there. But like we told the story last night, you'd said in the last report there, and Rob Weber shared that with our team that day, was that these people have been looking for power for 25 years, and they actually can see the lines. The meters are at their poles. The wiring's in their house. They got light bulbs. Now all they need is just some people to get together and actually come to a conclusion that's going to benefit them rather than themselves. And the same way that we have. All of us made a decision to benefit others more than we do ourselves. I mean, it's a lot for you guys to give up 17, 18 linemen. In this case, we got 15 people from our co-ops that you guys were willing to give away for 3 weeks, 3 work weeks. And there's a lot of work these guys can get done in 3 weeks that can help our membership, that can help during storms. And you did it in January. I mean, that's rolling the dice in itself right there a little bit. We live in Ohio where things can go wrong. And so, everyone here did our part, and all those people in the village do their part. And now we've just got to hope that everyone else involved, those higher powers that be, will do theirs, and then it'll be a successful project for sure.
Yeah, you guys had it pretty rough down there, if I remember. Like, what was the average temperature down there?
It was like 75.
Yeah, what was the average temperature in January in Ohio? About 7?
Yeah. Oh, I heard about it. I heard all about it being cold back home. I'm aware of this, yes.
Yeah.
My family reminded me every day that it's cold here, and I'm like, yeah, I thought about putting suntan lotion on today. Kind of where we were, so it's tough.
Yeah. Another question before I get to the guys here. Just if you could just talk about this team a little bit. Each group of guys that you've gone with down to Guatemala and you've led the last couple trips. Each one of them have been different, but a lot of similarities. But just talk about the quality of individuals that you took on this trip and how you guys got along and how you guys kind of came together as a bunch of individuals and formed this really great, powerful team.
Yeah, I mean, every team's going to have its difference. It's like your children. It's like, how did you guys come from the same people, but you're so much different than that one, or this one and this one, right? So that's how every one of these teams end up being as well. Sometimes these things are challenging because, you put 17, 18 alpha males together, and there's a lot of leaders in the room. There just is, and that's what it takes to do line work, to go out in the storms the way they do, to work in the conditions they work in, and sometimes they're unfavorable, and it takes a certain mindset to do line work. It just does, and so when you bring that mindset together and you're trying to make it a collaborative effort somewhere else where everyone wants to do their part. I mean, that's the thing that is the challenging piece of this, is everyone wants to be the best they can be for these people because their heart's in the right place. So every team is different, but this team was pretty amazing. I mean, I've been on all the projects. I've seen the ups and downs of everything. I've seen all right, you have to go in and do inside wiring now. Well, I want to climb poles still. I'm not ready to go inside. All of these things, and you'll have these little clashes that happen. But there were 0 human problems on this trip. Not a single human issue where someone said, well, I'm not looking to do that, or I came here to do this, or anything like that. This team, literally, when we had our plans in the morning, there was not one time that we had an issue. And I think that says a lot about who we hire, the people we have working for us at our co-ops, and just their mindset of going down. You couldn't ask for a better team. And I know every team has been great. Every team's went down there and done a job and did it the way it needed to be. But this group's pretty special to me, to be able to do this with them. And to just, when you say lead, all I was lane keep assist. I was the AI. That's all I was, right? I mean, my only job was to keep it between the lines, and they led the way. I just made sure that we didn't steer in the wrong direction at any point in time, just by being on the ground a couple times and doing these projects. They didn't do anything that was outside of line where I'd say, hey, let's come back over here or do this. And so for me, it was a pretty special trip to be able to just watch them interact with each other and watch the job that they did. It was pretty dynamic.
Yeah, cool. All right, guys. So each one of you, when we just talk for a few minutes out there, you guys each have kind of a unique story as to why you decided to go on this trip. And so I'd like for each one of you kind of just share your why. What was your purpose, and why did you decide to take on a project like this? We'll start with David down there.
All right. So, I've kind of always had a passion to go on a project like this. I've wanted to be able to take the skills that I've learned in my job and that we all, take for granted here in the United States and share it with people that it'd make an everlasting impact on their lives and their kids' lives.
Yeah, cool. Cody?
So I've always wanted to go on a missions trip with our church, and I just have never had the opportunity to do that. And this opportunity came up, and I was talking to my wife about it. My wife was backing me 100%, so it was an easy decision.
Yeah. Which one of you, and Wesley, your wife did the trip to Honduras, so kind of share your story a little bit too.
Yeah, so my wife's a dental hygienist, and she did a mission trip actually the week before they shut the border down for COVID. So she made it back, luckily, not stuck down there trying to get back. But she went down to a remote village in Honduras, and like I said, a hygienist, so she was able to do some care for the children and some of the villagers. So when she got back, told me some stories, and then listened to some of the other linemen in the shop. Really made me interested, so
Yeah.
I was glad to be able to have the opportunity to go down,
Yeah, cool.
use my skill set, you know.
Yeah, good. So, so what was a typical day like for you guys? And whoever wants to answer can go for it.
Typical day would be we leave and go to Yexi's around 7 o'clock in the morning, and then we'd go eat breakfast over there. Then after that, we would head up to a gas station and get water, ice, drinks, whatever we want, and then we would take us about an hour trip. So then we would take that trip up into the mountain, and it was through a road that was like the roughest road we've ever been on. You'd be driving, you'd be like, the whole time, it was just insane.
Yeah.
Like if you had an upset stomach, it was 10 times worse by the time you got up there.
Yeah.
And we would
Especially
get up.
if you're in the back seat, right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
And right after breakfast, too.
Yeah.
After breakfast, yeah.
And we're not used to that food yet, so
Yeah.
no, we would get up there to like our shop where everything was at, and we would just get a game plan for the day. Then we would pray, and everybody would kind of go our separate ways, do our job. Then after, like right around like noon, we would have lunch. We'd get lunch and eat. Everybody would talk, and then after that, we would go back to work, and we called her quits 4:30, and then we would head back to Yexi's and get dinner, and then everybody would race back to the hotel to see who could get warm water in the shower.
Yeah. So, Wesley, talk about, well, first of all, I guess in each of you, like what kind of tasks did each of you perform? I mean, did everybody do everything, or did you guys have specific roles on the project? So, Wesley, what are some of the things that you got into?
So when we first got there, we kind of didn't know. We walked the whole village so we could see kind of what we wanted to do. Then we all kind of decided as a group that we wanted to get the main line, the primary, and the main secondary line built together. Go ahead and knock that out, and then we break up in our own ways. And I got lucky enough to be on the crew of installing bus tankers the first day. So I don't know if any of you know much about bus tankers.
Yeah, let's talk about what is a bus tanker? Because it doesn't sound like any fun.
Yeah, so it's an anchor for the back of a pole, and they'll dig it. Luckily, the villagers dug the holes for us. Then we'll throw a steel rod with a plate on the bottom of it in, bust it, and then backfill it and tamp it. Doesn't sound like a lot, but when you do 3 or 4 dozen of them in a day, it's a job. So it was a good day, though. I think I got a picture later I'll show you. But so anyway, we did that first day, and then we kind of all divided up, and 4 or 5 man crews got the main line built. And then once we started getting towards the end of getting the main line, the primary, transformer, secondary hung, then we started to divide up. There'd be a crew that would go in, install the fixtures. So each house got 4 light bulbs, 2 outlets, 2 switches, and a panel. And then I was on the crew that would run the wire. So once I had the fixtures hung, we'd come in and put the wire in. And then there'd be a crew that would come in and install the fixtures afterwards. So they'd put the light bulbs in, stuff like that.
Yeah.
And then they had to do the service drops as well, which those 2 were, I believe, on the service drop crew. So from the main secondary lines to the houses and the meter poles, they'd run that. So
Okay.
a lot of different jobs going on.
Yeah.
You know.
David, kind of the same. You did a lot of different things.
Yeah. The only difference was I was on the service drop crew, so we was out there climbing up, putting the drop from the pole to their meter pole, which a lot of times was just a tree they just cut down. Some of them they took the bark off, stuck it in the ground.
Yeah.
So we'd run the wire from the pole to their meter pole, down, back up, and then into the house.
And so, you mentioned, the hotel and things like that. So, David, what was the living conditions like, and kind of the food and things like that? What are some of the things you ate? And
So like the living conditions of the village, which you'll probably see in some of the pictures, it seemed to vary quite a bit. You had some houses that were newer construction, really nice, had tile floors, cinder block construction. And then you had, on the other end of the spectrum, other houses, they had the dirt floors, the mud brick homes. And then the one thing that surprised me is some of the makeshift beds that you come across. Some houses had nice beds with nice comforters, and then another one I walked in and it was 1x10s laid down with burlap sacks as their sheets and folded up for their pillows.
Yeah.
It was a vast difference between the.
Yeah. And what kind of food did you guys eat when you were down there? Is it all kind of Americanized food or?
No.
No. Is
A
it-
lot of rice, black beans.
Yeah.
Breakfast was the same every day. It was scrambled eggs, pancakes, like a pureed black bean. It was pretty good.
Yeah.
But after 18 days of eating the same thing or 17 days of eating the same thing,
You don't care if you
it
see
got a
another
little tough
black
to keep
bean in
eating
your
the same
life. Yeah.
breakfast after a while.
Yeah. Cool.
So,
So.
but the food was very fresh.
Was it?
Yes,
Yeah.
very good.
Good deal. So we were talking outside, and before we get into some of the photos that we're going to talk about, you guys were selected to kind of be up here, and I know you guys are kind of nervous, and your colleagues they're sitting back there in the corner. But now's the time. If you've got a funny story you want to tell about one of those guys sitting in the back of the room, now's the time. So you guys go ahead. There's something about some dancing I heard. Come on, Cody. You
Well, so
embarrass the heck out of
so
you.
there was a group of kids that would always be up at our shop and everything like that, and like they would be up there every day. So like I was always trying to work on them, like tell them my name. I'm like Cody, and they'd be like Cody. I'm like, well, the one day they're like, the girl walked up to me, and she's like Cody, and I was like that's right. And then somebody walked past, and she's like Chubby.
There's somebody with their hand up back there. Yeah.
well, that same girl, she like after she said that, everybody was like dying laughing. She pointed back at me and she's like, Cody, and I'm like, yep, here's another sucker.
Also, bribes work down there, right? Yeah. Okay. What about you guys? Any funny stories from the guys you were with? No.
I'll give you one.
We got the joy of getting to celebrate one of our team members' 60th birthday.
Oh yeah,
Big house, and
that was pretty cool. You guys. So talk about the Ohio State games. You got to watch Ohio State. Kyle, you set us up, right?
I did set it up. So before I left, I bought a VPN. So best $20 ever spent. So, I mean, I think if we go on projects, it should be after the Super Bowl. So that way you don't have to miss any of the games. The only thing I couldn't do was trick FanDuel. I could not trick FanDuel to know that I was in Guatemala and I wanted to be in the U.S. But what I basically was able to do with the VPN is we could log in through the internet. We would post it like we were back into the U.S. So it looked like we were in the U.S. So we could watch I could log into my YouTube TV account. And we were able to watch all the Ohio State games down there. So that was pretty neat that we were there. I think the people at the hotel think we're crazy. I know they get into their soccer pretty hard down there, and they were like, this is just football. Why is this so exciting to them? And so we did get to enjoy both of the games through the run there when we were down in Guatemala, and it was really neat. We got a picture you'll see earlier with us having all of us standing there in the OHIO up there. So it was pretty proud for us to be from Ohio in Guatemala, being able to tell people we're from Ohio, and then be able to celebrate the Buckeyes win down there was pretty exciting there for sure. And so we were able to stay into football and things like that when we were down there.
That's cool. So let's talk for a minute, Kyle, about kind of your role. Obviously leading this team, but there's a lot of other things going on behind the scenes, right? In terms of the relationships with the village leader and trying to get some projects done. So, one of the things that our summer conference, we do a fundraiser and we ask for personal donations to help provide some of those personal hygiene items and things like that in Guatemala. So just talk about, your relationships you had with the village leaders, with the interpreters, the engineer, and just kind of talk about some of the good things we were able to do with the money that we raised, to help with those items.
Yeah, so I mean, these projects are successful because of the interpreters. I mean, Eric that's down there, who is the engineer on the ground and works for NRECA, he truly does a fantastic job of setting these things up. And he's a good friend of mine. He's come to my house here in the States and stayed with us when he visited. I mean, he is a really good friend of mine, but he does a great job. And without his legwork ahead of these projects, they would be unsuccessful. I mean, he lines everything up for us. He has everything ready to go. He's like, hey, when we get to the village, we know exactly where we're heading and where we're going. All the poles are set in the village, the holes are dug. we always hope the bus anchors are in, but that doesn't always work that way. But these guys did a great job of that. And then, you know, it's more than just power when we get there. It's like there's other needs that these folks have. So my job is to get these guys moving in the right direction based upon their wishes. It's their project. I'm not going to go down there and, I mean, the best leaders don't tell people what they do. They give people the things they need to be successful and let them go, right? And just help them along the way, provide resources, provide the things that these folks need to be successful. And that's really all I was doing there. And then after that, it's all about making sure that the things that we want to do with your fundage that you provide us to make their lives better every single day. And one of the needs was at the school was a septic system. So when the school was built by the government, came in and they put a septic system in that was basically the size of a water trough that you would have out for your cattle or your horse. I mean, it's a very small septic system, and unfortunately it had filled up. And one of the things that happens is these folks don't have a lot. They don't have a lot at their own homes. So when there is a restroom facility, what it ended up doing was all the village started using the restrooms at the school. And you can imagine then how quickly then the septic system was backed up, and then they have no way to do things. And believe it or not, I had no idea that they don't run their septic systems the way we do here. Surprising enough, on my 4th trip, you'd think I'd understand that they do things a little different than we do here. And but I'm always surprised by things. So one of the things we wanted to do was build a septic system at that school to get this thing up and running. And the resources to get that done in the mountains is very difficult. Like every time they had tried, it was, we don't have the resources. We don't have the resources. Well, I think what happens is when we get there, it's like, okay, we have one resource. We have the financial resource. What is it going to take to get this done? So I got with Eric and 2 village leaders and said, what's it going to take? And then we hashed out some numbers, and as the more we talked, the number got higher and higher. You know, I mean, that's kind of the way it works down there. Still a great deal for us, and the next thing you know, that it's like, yeah, we can get this done by the 22nd. And unfortunately, it wasn't 100% done. It was about 90% done when we left, but it is 100% done and operational now. I've talked to Eric, and he said it is working. But this septic system that we put in will last them 25 years. And that's even at the school system, we hope even more. The other things we did was we secured the school lot so people couldn't get in to the school lot. So we put a gate up at the school. We put a wood fence along the side, and that was that was not only for safety of the school children running around. I mean, if they fell off that cliff over there when we first got there, someone's going to get hurt. I mean, it was like, okay, what can we do? So we put a wood fence up that kind of barricaded that. They had rocks and everything all through their schoolyard. We brought in dirt and leveled all of that out. So now they have a nice, smooth schoolyard that they can actually go out and play in that makes it safe for them. So your donations and the things that you do, it's not just providing power, it's increasing the lives. And for me, I always go down there with the aspect of the kids. They're the ones that are going to change the stars of the villages that we go to. Yes, their parents are there, and it's kind of like for us. You can do great things for us, but really we try to turn that stuff and give it to our kids because that's the generation that's going to make this thing grow where we really want it to go, right? It is about our youth, and it's about our children. And so all of the things that we did and talking to these guys, it's like, where we want to make our impact, and we wanted to make an impact in the churches. We wanted to make sure that they had lights and power in the churches there because these are God-fearing people, and they believe, you know, just as strongly as we believe. And so we wanted to help the schoolyard, and we wanted to help their futures and all of those pieces. So those are the things that really mattered when we get there. And my job is to orchestrate this and get it all done in a timeline that we can show you that, hey, we made movement with the great funds that you were giving us, that we were able to make a really big difference there in the lives of these people, and especially the children. That's where we're at.
Cool. You guys got to take a day off, didn't you? A couple of days off while you were down there? Yeah. Went to the beach, I heard. Yeah. That was fun.
Yeah, it was a good
Yeah,
trip.
a good time. Yeah. And then you got one of the kind of unique things you got to do is tour a coffee field. Tell me about that. It was kind of unique, wasn't it?
Yeah, we went after we had the inauguration at the village. We left there and drove straight to Antigua, and the first night just kind of hung out. Then the next night we got to tour a little bit more, and then we went to the coffee tour, and that was pretty neat. They put us in this really tall truck and drove us around a little bit, and then just taught us the whole process from the start of growing the plant, planting it, harvesting. You don't have any idea how much work goes into coffee until you go down there and learn about it. It's kind of amazing, but it was a really cool experience learning.
Cool. So last question I have for you guys before we get into the photos. So back home, you know, leaving, 2 of you left, you know, pregnant wives back home. How did everything go? I mean, while you were gone, and what kind of help did they have? And you know, were they able to manage just fine without you?
Really got lucky. It seems like every time I go on a trip or go out of town, my furnace always breaks. Knock on wood, it didn't happen this time.
Yeah, okay,
But,
good deal.
it's like you said, you got a community of people around you that help you. I know one night, it was like right in the middle of the trip, my wife called me and she goes, "Hey, I got my car stuck in the backyard." She was trying to make it easy for our young son to close the chicken coop up so he didn't have to walk through all the snow. And she drove him back and drove right into a snowdrift. She's like, "What do I do?" I'm like, "Well, you're at home, right?" She's like, "Yeah." I said, "Just go in the house. There's nothing I can do. I'm 2,200 miles away. There's nothing I can do for you."
Yeah.
But luckily, I was able to call a friend that lived just around the corner. He showed up and got her taken care of.
Yeah, cool.
But, we put in a lot of preparations beforehand, making sure the wood was stocked in the basement, and it definitely could not have done the trip without her willingness to do so. And she knew that I really wanted to do a trip like this, and she was all on board. So.
Yeah. Any other thoughts?
Just like I said earlier, like my wife, she's a rock star and she supported me this whole time. So she understood it, but like, having younger kids, they don't really understand why dad's leaving for so long. So they, when I got to the hotel the first night, there was like a note in my luggage and it said, "Check under this." And I had like this big binder that they took. It was like 18 days worth of envelopes, and each day had like a drawing on it, and I had to glue it to each day. And my 5-year-old, she like drew something out, a picture of her and me and our dog. So that made it easy. And like technology, having FaceTime where you can FaceTime them like any time of the day is so nice.
Yeah. Yeah, cool. Wesley, how'd everything go at home?
I'm just blessed to have a wife that's way tougher than me, because 3 weeks by myself with 2 kids, I'd been struggling. But she did.
Yeah.
She handled it real well. So.
Well, one of the things I asked these guys to do the last 15 minutes or so, I asked them to kind of put together some memorable photos, things that really meant a lot to them, things that impacted them while they were on this trip. And so they all provided me, I think, 5 different photographs. And we're just going to go through those and have them tell you their story about why they picked this photo, what they're doing in the photo. And I think, sometimes the best way to tell the story is by pictures. So we're going to start with Cody. There he is. Look at him. So just tell us a little bit about this photo and,
Yeah, so
the children and, yeah.
So this picture, these 2 boys right here, these are the 2 that would show up every day to the shop, or our shop, and they kept trying to get my hat, and I was like, "Here, I'll make you a hat right there." But the best thing I like about this photo is the beard. So like nobody over there really grows beards, maybe because it's too hot, I'm not really sure, but this happened to me the first time. These kids were like, one of the first couple of days, they would put their hands up like this, and I'm like, I'm like, do they want money? I'm like, not sure what they want, and I was like, I don't understand. And they're like, I'm like, I don't understand what you mean. And then I went down low and I was like, I really don't know what you're saying. And they grabbed my beard and they're like, they started grabbing it, and they're like, cute, and just walked away. I'm like, okay. So, but then they were doing it a lot to the people with beards. It was pretty funny.
Yeah. All right, next one.
Yeah, so that's Robert right there. I'm taking a picture of him taking a picture. And so the trucks, every day, that's what they looked like. They were just an absolute mess at the end of the day. But I like this picture because you have those guys right there, and we didn't have an interpreter with us that day. But like everybody was on the same page with each other, so we would get out of the truck and we were going to hang wire, and them guys somebody would climb up and hang the hand lines, and them guys would get right on that and just start pulling that wire up. It was awesome. There was a big language barrier, but like everybody wanted the same thing.
Yeah, cool.
Yeah, so right here, I don't know if you can tell, but on that tree there's a buoy right there. And so Wesley and I were climbing to hang some wire right there, and I went to clip the hand line in, and it fell down. And Wes grabbed it, and he went to throw it back up, and it didn't make it up there. And that kid was standing there behind us, and he was just watching us. And he whistled at us, and he's like, and we're like, yeah, sure. So this kid walked up to that tree, and he wrapped his legs around it like this, and he just shot up it within 2 seconds. It was insane. It was crazy. He got up there, and then him and I were sitting here, and we were dumbfounded by it. We were like, what in the heck just happened? And that kid grabbed we threw the hand line up, and he sat there, and he just watched us the whole time right there. So, and it was cool.
awesome.
It's just like, no matter young or old, they'll help you out over there. It's sweet.
Yeah, nice.
Yeah. All right, I'm going to read something on this one. So this right here is a Bible verse that is on the church that's right outside the schoolhouse. And that verse is John 14:6, and it says, Jesus saith to him, I am the way, the truth, the life. No man cometh to the Father but by me. I think this one's important because it shows that there's only one way to eternal life, and that's through Jesus Christ. And religion, just like Kyle said earlier, is such a big, important part of their culture over there. And I just think it's so awesome that the kids get to see that every day, going into school and coming out of school. It's just like, it's right there. It's cool.
Yeah, nice.
Yep, so this one right here, I can't read that, but I'll have to read this here. This is a note from the boy, one of the boys that was grabbing my beard right there. He came up one day and he handed me this picture. And it says, thank you for coming to put the electric light here in Barajones. Thank God our dream will finally come true. And thank you for the toys that you have given us. We really appreciate it. It was just like, something like so humbling, like that kid took the time out of his day to do that. And I was just, and like personally, when my kids write me notes and draw pictures, I love every bit of it. So I went back to the hotel later that night, and I used the translator app, and I was like trying to write him a little note back, and the translator app doesn't work very good sometimes. And I showed it to one of the interpreters, and he's like, yeah, it all looks good except for you have to fix all of it. So I was like, okay. So he helped me fix it all, and we got back to the village, and I handed that boy that note, and he was like, and then he just took off running. So I was like, I don't know if it was good or bad. I'm not really sure all that was. So yeah.
Okay, well, good. Cody, thank you. All right, Wes, you're up.
So this is the shop, warehouse, whichever you want to call it. And those are the three kids. The tall girl there with the glasses, she was the one that liked calling us chubby every morning. But they were just so happy. We get back at the end of the day, and they just got the biggest enjoyment out of being able to carry our climbing bags in. So it was just kind of sweet being able to watch them do that every day.
Yeah.
This is the Buster crew. And just or from left to right, it'd be Nick, myself, Clint, and Rob. And it was just a good, fun day. It was a hard day, but it was a.
And how many bus anchors did you put in that day?
I don't know, somewhere between 3 and 4 dozen, I'd say. It was we had to stay ahead of everybody else because we had to get the anchors in before they could put the wire in to back the poles up. But It was fun.
Yeah. Again, looks like the weather's terrible down there.
Yeah. This was towards the second half of while we were down there, and we were just going around putting the wire and the fixtures into the houses. And that girl was just so sweet, and she just loved hanging out with us every day. And you could tell she knew we were coming towards the end of the trip because she just started being real sad the last couple of days. So I just wanted to get a picture with them towards the end.
You remember her name? That's okay. I didn't know if you knew her name or not.
Yeah. I took a picture with these two because I ended up finding out they were twins, and it just kind of touched me because my wife, when she went to Honduras, my wife's a twin, so when she went to Honduras, we ended up sponsoring a set of twins down there to continue going to their schooling, and we still do. I mean, it's 65 years later, and I just found them. So some of us we got the contact from the teacher. He spoke real good English, and he gave us his Facebook and stuff, so we're going to try and keep in touch through it.
That's with them. Good deal.
And then this is, one of the kids gave me a note too, and I can't hardly.
You guys there you go. Nice.
Yeah, it says, I had to translate it also, but it said, thank you for the project, for bringing the light. We are wishing you many thanks and blessings. We thank you for all you gave. We appreciate it, and for all your hard work, thank you with all my heart. And this one hit me pretty good because the last couple days, not being able to, as linemen, we typically don't leave a job without finishing it. So it's kind of bothering a lot of us not being able to turn the lights on. But the last day we were down there during the inauguration, being able to give out the water filters and the shoes and toothbrushes and clothes and just being able to see the kids play in the school and stuff, it really made you realize that not everything that we stress about is that big of a deal to them. Like they said, 25 years, and we did it in 3 weeks. So
Yeah. One of the things that on every time I've done these panels, when people come back, you know, we think about all the things that we have in our life. I mean, we don't want for anything, right? These kids, you know, they don't either. I mean, but they don't have anything, right? And they're happy. You know, they're just, I mean, they're the best, right? Yeah.
Yeah.
Cool. All right, David, you're up.
So this picture shows, I mean, the reason why we went down for the project is the community. You know, this is a small picture before the rest of the community showed up, but I mean, I put this picture in because that's the whole reason why we're there, is to take care of the community. It's not for us, this is for them.
Cool.
This picture, this kid, when we went down to where their house was, we had to put up a couple spans of wire, and this kid, he insisted on wanting to help with every step of the process, and we loved getting the chance to show him every step of the process. So when we were pulling wire up, had the hand light on there, we're pulling wire, and we let him pull it up all the way until he couldn't pull it up anymore, and then cutting the guy wire. And then like his whole family was sitting on the porch as we were doing all this work. He was the only one that came down and helped us. But it was neat after we got done. You go up and meet the family. You get to see them. You know, I remember that house particularly. It was an old mud floor house. It was a pretty rough house. But right there on their front porch where the family sits, they had a big picture of the Last Supper there. And it's like you see the faith of the people out there. You know, they have so little, but they have so much faith. It was really neat to see.
That's cool.
I'm going to kind of echo what they said about the kids. This is a picture of them same kids that was up there. They wanted to help each and every one of us, and every time we were down there getting tools or something, they insisted on coming up and helping. We all kind of laughed about them calling us chubby, but it was sweet. So I kind of enjoyed it.
Nice.
I know our interpreter was talking to the parents, I think, of these kids, and they said every morning the kids would get up and say, "The gringos are coming, we got to get up, we got to see the gringos." So they'd get up early and had something to look forward to because we were coming.
Awesome. Yeah, that's awesome.
And this goes back to, like I was saying, about the faith of the people there on the mountain. This was the farm all the way at the top of the mountain, and that sign, it's hard to read, but it says, you know, Jesus is our Savior over this mountain. And like I said, for the people, they don't want for nothing, but they have so much faith, and kind of makes us feel selfish for the way we want things here in the States. And you know, talked about the kids being so happy. I watched a group of kids playing with a 2-liter bottle half full of water with a string tied to it. There's 3 kids, and they were just out there having a ball, just swinging it around and jumping over it. They'd throw it down the hill and see who could get it first. And they were just happy with what they had.
Yeah, that's awesome.
This shows us, you know, as we're coming together as a team. I kind of put this picture on there because, you know, we're guys from 2 different co-ops. We've never worked together before. This is the first time we come together, and it seemed like we all instantly clicked as a team, and you know, didn't have any trouble figuring out how to work well together. And that impressed me. Like Kyle said, you know, you bring together all these men, and not one of them was like, "I'm the boss, we're going to do it my way." Everybody was there for the right reasons.
Great. Good deal.
And another picture of them same kids carrying our tools, wanting to learn how, see how we do it and help.
Yeah. Good deal.
So.
All right, Kyle, here's your pictures.
Yeah, so
What's going on in these pictures?
what you got to understand is these people live in a very remote part of Guatemala, and they make hay 3 months out of the year. The coffee harvest, when you're picking the coffee cherries, it's December, January, and February. That's when they harvest coffee. The plant grows throughout the year, but it produces the cherries during these 3 months. And these folks harvest cherries. That's what they do. They go harvest coffee, and they make about 70 to 80 quesalas a day, which is about $10 US a day, and they have to pick 100 pounds to make that money. That's 400 cherries they have to pick to make that kind of money, and they got 3 months to make all their hay. That's what they do. And these kids, they're all a part of this. It's a whole family It's a whole family affair to go out there. And so what's going on here is these kids, you can see all the stuff that they harvested in the back. And now these are the people coming around weighing out what they harvested and paying them for what they were able to get. And I know that me and my wife, we're blessed. We got good kids. But I don't know if I could get them to harvest cherries all day long. I'm not so sure I could pull that off. Or any of these kids, I do a lot through the community. I coach a bunch of kids in sports, and it's great football and softball. And it's like, sometimes it's hard just to get them to stay focused for 2 hours of sports. When these kids, they know nothing. You see all these kids wanting to work. That's all they know down there is work. These are some hardworking people. And just to see a whole family work together to know that that's their yearly livelihood, I think it tells a humongous story, of their fortitude and their ability to make it in life. Here's the septic system. That's a big hole in the ground. It's going to hold a lot. So when they said they were going to put a septic system, I was like, all right, well, they dug this. Now, somehow, after we negotiated a hand dig, a hoe showed up. So I give them credit for that. We negotiated this price of about 22,000 quetzales. And are you going to hand dig this? Yep, they're going to hand dig. And I'm like, it looks like a lot of work, but okay. And then a hoe showed in. I'm like, good for you. That was good negotiating right there. Absolutely. Good for you
Leverage
guys.
their resources, right? Yeah,
that's right. No doubt. So this is the build, and then this is the picture after we were gone. I got that picture there on Friday of the finished product there that we got. This picture here is meaningful because it's the very first pole, and I mean, this is right off the bat in the morning, and it just goes to show, like, when you get there, one of the biggest jobs as the leader of these projects is pull the reins back. I guarantee you these guys thought they could build this in 2 days. Just turn them loose, let them go. I mean, that team back there, they're line workers. We'll get this done in no time. The idea of walking that whole project is for them to get the scope of this thing, but this is the first day where we said, okay, let's turn it loose and work, and it wasn't, these guys were up poles. You know what I mean? And it's like this is when you knew this is going to get done. I mean, the team you got, they're not down there talking about it. They just jump right in it, and I think that shows the fortitude of who you took with you. But that is the first people up poles, and so that always means a lot, no doubt. This picture here, I think the focus here is the help that the villagers gave us. We could never do this project alone. This isn't 15 people going down there to do it by ourselves. This is 15 people going down to rally. It's the same story we heard last night with the 12 strong. No, those 12 men could not have went in Afghanistan and overtaken that city. They couldn't have done it by themselves. He told it last night. And when he was speaking, it meant so much to me to hear that, because we can't go on these projects and do it by ourselves either. You have to use the local resources. You have to get there and make friendships. You have to get there and build their trust, because they've got so much lack of trust. They've been done wrong so many times. These people have been lied to 100 times about how things were going to go. And obviously our story is not as heroic as that story that we got to hear last night, which was a fantastic story, being a military kid myself, and to hear those things, and that was amazing to hear. But we trust these villagers the same way they trust us. I mean, they're pulling on a hand line and we're up a pole. They do it wrong, someone can get hurt, something can go wrong. And so there's a ton of trust, and they gave up their ability to make money for their future, for their kids, because they should be harvesting coffee right now. And you know what they're doing? They sacrificed it to help us get a transformer up a pole, and it means so much there. So
Cool.
This picture means a ton to me of any of them, because first of all, the picture of the guy on the right in the flannel shirt, that's the teacher at the school, speaks great English. But the bigger story is the guy on the left. Rob Weber is a 60-year-old man that has seen a lot, and I've gotten a great privilege to know Rob over the years here. And when me and Rob first came, it's old school versus new school. I mean, that's what it was coming in, and Rob's seen a lot. And he is the definition of an M&M. He is an outside candy shell, hard candy shell, but on the inside, he's softer than the other side of the pillow. And just to see someone who has seen so much in line work and seen good, so bad, to go down there and be moved, to be willing to spend his 60th birthday. All these people, I'm sure they wanted to throw him a heck of a party back home. He spent it with us, a bunch of young kids playing dad. That's what he basically did down there. And just to see him, the way that he gets emotional with stuff and things, it just goes to show that he really was the spirit of that project down there, and he did a lot of good. So Rob should be commended for his efforts down there without a doubt.
Cool. All right, last, You get
Two more, yeah.
two more.
So this one
We're
just
over
is,
our time, so.
This is just all the flags. I'm used to that, Doug. I'm always over on time. So this is just a picture of our flags flying with Guatemala. These projects go beyond the borders of our country. They are all about humanity and us doing the right things for the right reasons. And this next picture is just the heart of these guys to want to give. You know, they went down there and they worked their tails off for almost 2 weeks, and then at the end, they're still going strong, handing out gifts, doing great things. You know, we bought TVs for the schools, we bought speaker system for the school, we bought, you know, school supplies and all these things, and them to still be there wanting to give to this community was amazing through the process, no doubt.
Last question I have for each one of you, and I've ended every panel discussion that I've facilitated this way. Put your hand on a Bible. You're all men of faith. If given the chance to do this project again, would you do it again?
Yes.
Without a
Yeah,
doubt.
I need a verbal. Yes.
without a doubt.
Yes.
I need a verbal. Guys, thank you very much for sharing your stories, sharing these photos. Please, everybody, please join me. Thank you. Guys, thanks.
Good job, guys.
Thank you.
Okay.
Good job.
Thank you.
Yeah, absolutely.